Hello, and welcome back to Talk Nerdy to Me, a financial guide for entrepreneurs, where we dive deep into the financial issues that small to mid-sized businesses and high-growth companies face. And we'll explore practical solutions to overcome them. I'm Michelle Delker, founder and CEO of the Stanley CFO Group. And guess what? Today we have a very special guest joining us. Someone who truly exemplifies the qualities that all entrepreneurs deserve in a treasury partner. Who is it? My friend, David Mastrorio, Chief Lending Officer for DFCU. David, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure to be here.
Oh, and you look so dapper. This outfit, my goodness. Did your wife lint roll you this morning?
No, but I do need to do that from time to time.
Oh my goodness. Well, before we dive into today's topic, I would love for you to introduce yourself and all the things, spare no details, middle child, not hugged enough, all of those. And then also maybe how you found your way into banking and what drew you into this field.
So I'm from Massachusetts originally, but I've been here in Florida for 33 years.
Gosh.
So been banking in Tampa since the early 90s. And our company, First Citrus Bank, was acquired by DFCU Financial in December 31st of 22.
Oh my gosh.
So I've been with that organization collectively now for 24 years, banking and lending and helping clients here in Tampa Bay. I got into banking way back in the, I hate to say how far back, but back in the mid 80s, believe it or not.
The 80s during the Reagan administration?
During the Reagan administration, absolutely. Yeah, so in the summer of college, I was processing mortgage payments at the bank, my first foray into banking. I had family members in banking, my uncle in particular, who was also my godfather.
Do you kiss the ring?
Yeah, kind of. It was kind of fun, though, to kind of walk around with him when he would be out in public, because he'd say, oh, I helped them start their business, or I helped them buy that building. And he had a great relationship with everybody, and you just see the impact that he had on the community. So that was probably one of the first things that kind of made me think about getting into banking and doing what we do. But I also grew up in a family that my father was pretty entrepreneurial, always wanted to have his own business. When he was younger, he thought about starting a printing business because he was a printer by trade. Didn't when he was younger, but as he got into his middle years, he decided he was going to go for it. We had a restaurant, a diner actually, as well as a limousine business. So I had an opportunity at a young age to work in both of those businesses. I wasn't a cook. I was a dishwasher in the diner, but I was a driver of the limousine as well. So I would drive on the weekends for clients, going out in Boston or weddings, that kind of stuff. But just having an opportunity to see that and be part of that and understand the challenges that small business owners have. And my father had all those challenges. It's hard work. It's 13-hour days. There's nobody else to depend on but yourself. And so it was a great experience for me to kind of have a chance to see that. And it just, I think, validated that was a course for me in terms of my direction with banking, was to be in a position to be able to help others like my father who were trying to start, build, grow their own business.
I love that. And David and I have known each other for 4.5 years, and I did not know that story until recently. And it connected all of the dots, because the you that I know, you have so much passion for helping people within our community, specifically small to mid-sized business owners. And so having your uncle hold the role that he held, and then seeing some of the challenges that your dad had to work through in his various businesses, it's a beautiful marriage. And I think really speaks to why it's so important to have passion in what it is that you choose to do. Because I see this for you more as a way of life.
Absolutely. I've honestly never thought about doing anything else. Other than maybe as a young kid thinking I could be a professional baseball player or something like that.
I thought you were going to...
I was never that good, but when you're young, of course, that's the first thing you want to be. But truly, as a professional, I've never considered anything else other than what I do right now, which I love.
That's incredible. And when you said baseball player, I was thinking skater. No tattoos lurking below.
No, not for me.
All right. So chief anything sounds really impressive, and chief lending officer gives me the chills. But what exactly do you do in your current role with DFCU?
Yeah, so like I said, I've been with the company for 24 years. So over the years, I was doing a lot of lending myself for many, many years. I was lending and also helping others in the company, other lenders, and helping support them with their clients as well. So, but in recent years, I'm not directly lending. I'm doing a lot more support. I spend all my time supporting a team of bankers, and we're fortunate now at DFCU with the merger, we have multiple markets that we can impact, and that's the exciting part of what we do. So we have Michigan, which is where DFCU is based out of, Metro Detroit. We have Tampa, and then we now have South Florida as well, down in Naples. So being able to reach more and more small business owners, entrepreneurs, is really what we get excited about. So that's given us an opportunity to do. So for me, I'm supporting all of those lenders, all of those bankers in those markets. Sometimes I'm going out on calls with them to meet with clients to get a good understanding of what they're doing and what they need and what their plans are in terms of growth, and then supporting the team in finding solutions, finding strategies and how we can meet their needs and put something in place that fits for what they're trying to accomplish.
So you've done the work, right? You've been in this particular sector for more than 30 years. You've been with this bank, if we round up, almost 30 years. You've done all of the things. And one day you will play more golf than you do today, right? So we're building up that next group below us to help them fill those gaps and continue to grow and serve the community. So you're role modeling, right? You're showing people, hey guys, this is what we do to be successful. And you have an incredible team with amazing longevity, which in this day and age, we know 2 years is like 20, right? But when we met, I want to say the shortest tenure on the team was something crazy, like 20 years.
Yeah, so for our executive team at First Citrus, which is still part of DFCU, we've been together for 20 plus years, every one of us. And so that included 4 of us, really. In terms of my lending team, I don't have anybody, other than new people we're adding for growth, I don't have anybody who's been with me for less than, I think, going on 6 years at this point. So our average tenure is probably over a decade for our team here in the Tampa market. And then we're obviously building the other markets as well.
So I think that's a huge testament to the culture within the organization. And you've mentioned that there was a merger, right? And typically we would see some sort of consolidation. We would see attrition related to that. But I've had an opportunity to work with your organization several times during that transition. And it was seamless. It was so smooth. It looks like you found a really good culture fit and things are only stronger and better.
Yeah, it's really all about the culture. It really is. And we spent a lot of time together with them before the merger, and it was really a great fit. And that's so important. And yeah, we were fortunate because we didn't share markets and nor did we share expertise. So DFCU historically was more of a retail consumer company. And First Citrus, we were only commercial. We focused solely on commercial. So bringing us together, it kind of brought the best of both worlds. And so we really didn't have any interruption to what we do and how we serve our clients. What we did gain was really the ability to serve them on a broader level because we can now serve them on their consumer needs, anything they might need, from a home mortgage to a car to investment services. We can do all those things, which we did not do as First Citrus. So for us, knowing that we can kind of be the sole solution for our clients, all they need is our cell phone. Just call our cell phone, anything you need, and we'll figure out how to get it done for you.
Do you take calls without an appointment? If the phone rings randomly, will you answer it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's, I think if you go to most financial institutions, if they will answer the phone sometimes between 9 and 5. They will never answer the phone after 5, and they will never return a text or an email after hours either. And for us, it's really a 24/7 thing. I mean, we're responding to clients after hours. We're responding to clients on the weekends because business doesn't stop for them. So, why should it stop for us? They have needs. Sometimes it's immediate, and sometimes it's not always convenient that it's at 2:00 in the afternoon. Sometimes it's at 7:00 at night. Sometimes it's a quick text on a Saturday morning that something's keeping them awake and they have a need. And so our team is really there ready to help at whatever time they need us, really.
So it's almost like you've seen a draft of my notes, because I was just going to ask you what makes your institution different than others. And what you just described is what we hear in the market as a stereotype, right? There's that whole banker's hours. But are you telling me that there's some sort of credence to that?
I think as an industry as a whole, yes, I think there is. That is a big differentiator for us. I think it's when you really love what you're doing. First of all, we believe wholeheartedly that if a client does business with us, they're going to be better off financially in the long run. That's our goal, and that's what we truly believe. So we're really trying to build that type of relationship with a client. And just like with any relationship, whether it's friends, family, or whatever, there's not a cutoff of when that relationship exists and when it doesn't exist, right? So I think it's kind of interesting that people think of, hey, I'm a banker between 9 and 5, but I'm not after 5. That's not reality for us. In our minds, we're always bankers, and we're always there to be available and to be helpful, just like we are for every other relationship that we have.
So you're a banker all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
All the time.
I love it. And your pajamas are suits too, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Now that said, I do, for my team, I tell them, hey, you can't miss. If your child has an award ceremony at 10 o'clock in the morning, you need to be there. If they have a ball game at 3 o'clock and you need to leave early, you need to be there. So it's not one or the other. You need to be there all the time for your family, for when they need you. But then sometimes, a client's calling at 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and you need to answer that phone too. So it's what we use the word blending. It's called blending. So to me, I'm always a husband, I'm always a father, I'm always a banker, and it's just a matter of which string is kind of pulling at me at the time, and then I'm going to go in that direction.
I love it. And it's completely honest, because at one of our professional retreats recently, I got to meet your son at the pool, right? He came along to the retreat, and it was so wonderful, because I think it's a big shift in the world, a huge juxtaposition to how we used to operate, blending those together truly. And I think another thing that's really different about your organization is my experience a lot of times when I meet with someone, they're trying to distill me or my client down into a particular box. And sometimes we don't fit in a nice, tidy box. Sometimes you have to build that box around us. And I've seen you do that many, many times. I feel like that's why you take the approach that you do to really understanding and nurturing the relationship. Is that true, or am I misguided?
No, absolutely. Again, I think when you look at the industry, especially as you look at smaller to medium-sized businesses, the way larger financial institutions try to manage that relationship is through, they're trying to be as efficient as possible with that relationship. And so that a lot of times means online, digital, not a relationship, not people oriented. And as for your clients and my clients, when you're going through the challenges that you're going through as a business owner, deciding, I need to add employees, I need to grow, I need capital to invest for additional equipment, whatever it may be. Those are very significant strategic decisions, and they need discussion, and they need professionals like us asking them some tough questions, right, to make sure, hey, this is the right thing and this is the right direction. I have so many different clients, so many different industries, so many different sizes, so many different management philosophies. If you try to put them into a box, there's just no way that they fit. And so we really don't have any boxes. We don't really have products at DFCU. We really are just trying to figure out, you said it, we're trying to build a box for our client, really figure out what their needs are, figure out where they're headed, and then, okay, what's the solution that we can put together for them? And one of the things that we say in the house is, hey, find a way. Let's find a way to help our client, whatever that need may be.
I love it. I love that so much. It's really understanding the person. And I say there's always a path forward, unless you're trying to defraud the federal government, and then all bets are off. So I really do appreciate that, because It sounds to some people old school, right? When we talk about technology, we talk about all of the things that we can leverage to make things better, faster, stronger. For me, there is no substitute for sitting knee to knee, shoulder to shoulder, and breathing the same air. You can feel what's happening in the room. It's palpable, and it's irreplaceable. So you don't have to do that all the time, right? But you definitely need a strong foundation to get a sense for that person. But it's even more than the relationships. So David and I are in a Vistage group together, and sometimes when he provides guidance or feedback, I clutch my pearls, and then I go to him on break and I say, but how did you know that? Like, how did you think through and arrive at that particular conclusion? So it's special, it's unique, right? And I think it's indicative of one of the important traits that you would look for in a really phenomenal treasury partner. That ability to communicate, to build the relationship, but also there has to be a level of analytical thinking. So the analysis is really important beyond the relationships. And if you're working with someone who doesn't really have a good understanding of your business, it's going to be hard for them to maybe paint a picture and to also suggest what might be best for you.
Yeah, I think a big part of it for us is qualitative, which is where the relationship comes in. And I think spending time together, talking and just getting an understanding and getting a feel is so important. And I think we probably put more on that than most organizations do, probably a lot more actually. And there is a place and a need for technology, as we know. But I think that is much more transactional driven than necessarily what we're talking about. And on the financial side, that is probably one of the biggest challenges we see with most of our small business clients, that the quality of the financial information is not great, which then it becomes difficult for them to really make good decisions because they don't have good information to make good decisions off of. And it's hard for us as a financial institution to kind of make the kind of, judgments that we want to make or the analysis that we want to do to get a good comfort with the client with those kind of challenges. So it is probably one of the biggest gaps we see out there in the market, is that desire and need and understanding of the importance of financial information. And usually it's too late when they realize it.
So do sometimes people reach out to you when there's a heated situation and they really need help in that moment? And it doesn't matter how good you are with relationship building or intuition or experience. If you don't have a clear picture of their financial position, it would be difficult to step in and offer maybe an appropriate comprehensive solution. Very
difficult, because we can't really draw any good conclusions if we don't have good information. And we do try to, we share that. Sometimes when they come to us and they're not ready, we'll have that conversation. Here's what you need to do. And we'll refer them to somebody. We'll kind of give them a partner maybe to hook up with and get the quality financial information that they need and say, hey, come back to us when you have this, when you're ready. But yeah, we want to be a solution for them. We want to be able to have strategic conversations about how we can help them achieve their goals and get to where they want to get to. And if you don't have the information to do that, very difficult to do.
That's a really
and frustrating.
I so appreciate that insight and perspective, because I've seen that firsthand as well. When things are going well, people think, well, things are going well, I don't need to know. And then when something happens, it's a major undertaking, right? And I do think it requires an experience level and expertise to sometimes go in and unwind. And you have worked with so many different organizations. I think when we talked yesterday, you mentioned this is a common issue. When you're running a smaller to mid-sized business, you don't have the budget for some of those hefty salaries. And so one of the areas that you really fill beautifully is this incredible Rolodex of professionals that you've curated over decades, folks that are philosophically minded that your clients can draw upon. So maybe they don't need a full-time X, Y, or Z, but they do need a conversation with a professional advisor or with a different type of expert, right, to help move them in the right direction. And that's one of the key things that you offer in your role.
Absolutely. An entrepreneur is typically, they hold all of the executive seats in the company, right? They put on hats, different hats, whether it's financial, sales, you name it. And so, and a lot of them don't necessarily have that expertise. They don't have that background on the financial side. They really need to go external to find that help and really invest. It's not a cost. And unfortunately, that's where the gap exists a lot, is I think they see it as a cost as opposed to as an investment. It's really a huge investment to just understand the finances of your business, understand where you need that information to make important decisions. And at different stages of the life cycle of the business, that becomes extremely important. So we do try to point them in the right direction, give them some potential partners to work with to help fill that gap and improve that gap. We also like to see the business owner, the entrepreneur, though, to be engaged in that, because they need to understand the financials of their business. A lot of times they get into it because they have a love or a passion for whatever their business is, and they know how to sell it, right? So that's why I'm in the business. I can sell this. I love it. I think it's a need. But then they have a hard time engaging on the financial side, and a lot of times they relegate that to somebody else. And so there's a lot they're missing by not having the financials that they really need to make good decisions, to analyze themselves, and just be looking for opportunities to improve their company to be able to achieve their goals in the long term. So that is a huge gap, and we do try to fill it by introducing them to others who can be helpful.
I so appreciate your perspective. We also view it as a huge impediment to forward motion, and we are for the visionary leaders, the ones that practically levitate. They bounce when they walk, right? They're so excited about what they do. We actually have a couple of pieces of art in our bathroom at our office. I don't know if you noticed them when you were there, but they say underdogs are hungry dogs and hungry dogs run faster. And a lot of times that's why we show up the way that we do. Same as you, right? Mm-hmm. We see that folks don't always receive the level of service that they deserve. A lot of times they don't know what they should be getting. And so being able to pull that curtain back and show them, this is what an incredible treasury partner looks like, right? Here's your financial position and what it means. Here's a risk mitigator who can help with your renewals and ensuring that you're appropriately hedged. It is intoxicating. I absolutely love it. So thank you so much for that. So what would you say a treasury partner should be doing to properly serve a business owner? And what are maybe some common misconceptions that business owners have about their treasury partner?
I think the biggest misconception is you always hear the term, I can always get the money when I don't need it. I can't get it when I need it. I think that's the biggest misconception that's out there, because I think a lot of times they think they need money maybe when things are slow, when business is down and I need to fill a gap, right? And that's the worst time to add leverage, to add debt, add cost to your business. That's when you need to be looking at other types of decisions, in terms of some significant decisions from a cost efficiency, whatever it may be. But you want to be looking at it then versus, when it's too late. So I think that's the biggest misconception. I think we're there to help, but we're there to help when the need is there in terms of, hey, my business is growing. I need permanent working capital to grow. I need to hire additional staff. I need capital. I need to expand into a new building. Like those are the situations when money is truly needed, and that's when we're there to be helpful. It's not when, hey, things are slow and, business is down and, I need some cash to keep me going. No, you need to make some tough decisions really in your business to make sure you can survive these types of situations. But the capital is available to you when you truly do need it. And that's really what we're here for, is to provide that growth capital for small to medium-sized businesses who are on the grow, who have those kind of needs.
On the grow. I love it. That is fantastic. Is that something that you say a lot?
Yeah, absolutely. Green and growing, on the grow, yes. Okay. So we do say that a lot. But you had another question in there and I lost track of that.
What should folks expect from their treasury partner?
I think commitment is a huge thing, where they shouldn't expect their treasury partner just to nod their head and say yes, right? I think they should expect their treasury partner to be comfortable asking them a lot of questions, because again, they don't have necessarily the executive team around them in their own business. So it's really, significant for us to be able to go in and look at things. We don't have all the answers, and we don't pretend to have all the answers, but we do have a lot of questions. And a lot of times those questions do help lead them to the right answers. So I think you want someone who's committed, someone who's comfortable and willing to ask you all the tough questions. I think you want somebody who's not in kind of a single lane in terms of how they look at things. Like we talked about the box before. Yes. You don't need in the box thinking. You need out of the box thinking. You need someone who's open to looking at different ways to try to find solutions to help them. They should be looking for somebody who's available when they need them, not just between, in the old days, I think it was 9 to 3 was banking hours. And it might still be that way for some, but, someone who is there when they need them, because it's important. Their business never stops and their needs never really stop. So I think they should be looking for someone who's truly focused on their needs. All businesses kind of have their own needs, and financial institutions are no different. But I think a lot of times when you look at those boxes and those things that we're talking about, the financial institutions are trying to fill their own needs, not the needs of the client, right? And so we stay focused on, hey, what are the client's needs? We're not looking to put them in any certain product or anything like that. We're not trying to pigeonhole them for our need. We're looking to try to figure out what their needs are and then build something for them so that it really helps them get to where they want to get to.
And didn't you do that? Didn't you do that with a young man who wanted to buy a hotel?
That's a great story. Probably one of the ones that most exciting for me and passionate for me because it was personal for me. And probably had a relationship with him for probably close to 25 years now, 23, 24 years. But when he came to us, he was a worker at a hotel. He was, living in the hotel, helping manage the hotel on a day-to-day basis. And he really didn't have two nickels to rub together at the time. But he knew he wanted to own his own hotel, and he knew he had bigger and better plans in his future. We had an opportunity to spend time with him, meet with him, walk through the hotel with him. We could tell his engagement in the business and running the business, the information that he was knowledgeable about for his young age and for not really having an ownership stake in the hotel. Just qualitatively, we knew that he was going to be a huge success in the long run, and we wanted to try to find a way to help him acquire his first hotel. And he was able to partner up with one of his uncles, I think, who was able to provide a little bit of equity for him. And then we were able to put together that first hotel for him. And today he owns multiple hotels and highly successful financially. And so to kind of see where he started and where he ended up, those are the kind of stories. That's what we want every single client picture in our minds to end up like, right? Mm-hmm. Start here and end up, at a much higher place financially. And along the way, they're growing a business, they're creating jobs, they're impacting our community, all the things that we get really fired up about.
Yes, I absolutely love it. I think that illustrates the value of the strong partnerships that you build. And these small to mid-sized businesses are the bedrock of our local community. So it's absolutely fantastic. Well, thank you so much, David, for sharing your insights with us today. I know our listeners will find your advice incredibly helpful.
My pleasure to be here. Thanks, Michelle.
And that wraps up this episode of Talk Nerdy to Me. Remember, having the right financial partners in your corner can make all the difference in navigating your business's growth journey. Be sure to tune in next time as we'll focus on improving cash flow for unprofitable companies. Please bring your blood pressure cuff. And until then, keep nerding out.